Welcome to Home Malone. I am your host, Michael Malone, and today I'm sharing a conversation I had with Douglas Smythe. Doug's story is unbelievable, and I mean that literally, okay? I mean, I was reading through his biography and past articles about him and these interviews that he's done over the years, and that's exactly what his life is. It's truly unbelievable. Like, for instance, at the age of 8, he was making perfume from a chemistry set that he got for Christmas. And then after college, he moved to Central America where he lived in a hammock at the edge of the fucking rainforest. I mean, what? And while he was there, it wasn't like vacation, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't there just hanging out. No, while he was in Costa Rica, he developed like this bug bite type solution that relieved inflammation and bug bites and was like selling it to the locals. Yeah. And then after that, he developed this deodorant slash bug repellent spray where the more you sweat, the more bug spray it releases into the air. I mean, this is insane. That's what I'm talking about. Unbelievable, right? And now Doug's focus has shifted to male grooming and traditional shaving, where Doug is a wet shave expert and the co-founder of the company Phoenix Shaving, which actually ended up in Forbes magazine within the first 2 years of its birth. He also has a weekly podcast called I'd Lather Be Shaving and runs the Big Shave West, which is an annual shaving festival he holds every year. And Doug Smythe is nothing less but a Renaissance man. He is someone who has reinvented himself multiple times in his life, which is a power move that I don't think many people take advantage of. Like, I remember having this conversation a few years ago with a friend of mine who let me in on a pretty big secret that I'm going to share with you now. And that is, you can reinvent yourself anytime you want. Every day, you get to choose who you're going to be. I don't think a lot of people realize that. A lot of times people will rely on a date to change who we are, right? You ever met somebody like that where they're like, okay, January 1st, I'm going to start getting up at 5 a.m. to do yoga. or more common is like, I'm just going to eat whatever I want this weekend. And then Monday morning, I'll never eat chocolate again. You don't have to wait till Monday or New Year's Eve for that magic to happen. You can choose to change your life today, right now, at this very moment. And that's the secret. You can change everything about yourself at any given moment. It's up to you. Because the reality of it all is we're just made up of these stories that we tell ourselves, right? And you don't have to wait for a special day to rewrite these stories. You can do it anytime. I think a lot of times we get caught up in thinking that a miracle is going to happen. We're going to wake up with these abs that we've wanted or a Lamborghini in our driveway, but life doesn't happen that way. Nothing, and I mean nothing, happens overnight. But you can start implementing tiny changes in your daily life that will eventually give you those abs or money to buy that Lamborghini, right? Like tiny changes every day is where it's at. Tiny changes lead to big changes. Nothing happens overnight. And Doug and I actually talked about that as well in this episode. So like, again, a lot of times we expect this 100% different life in one day. But try this instead. Try just being 1% better every day. That's it. Just 1% better every single day. And if you can achieve that, then you will start to see the results that you've been dreaming about. I promise you that. We are all made up of these stories that we tell ourselves. And Doug has told himself some wonderful stories throughout his life. And I'm so excited to share this episode with you. And after talking with Doug, I'm definitely switching over to wet shaving and buying a traditional razor. Enjoy. I want to start by saying that I'm kind of shamed right now that I shaved my beard about a month ago, and now it's just coming back in, and now I'm meeting with you. And here's the thing, I have the potential to have a great fucking beard, and
Yeah.
I feel so shamed right now meeting with you with it in the growing stages.
I just have. Is your camera on though? I have to ask.
Yeah, it should
Okay, 'cause
be.
mine is too. You can see me, right?
Yeah.
Because I have a beard myself right now. I have the COVID beard. It's kind of like the
Yes.
hockey beard type thing. I keep telling myself that, but yeah. So I've been on a few shows recently, and like it always comes down to, so you sell shaving products, right? And you can see them ruffling through their notes, like, do I have the right guy? It's like, yes, I do. But I also sell male grooming products, so I am always testing stuff for myself. But I have kind of let it all go, including my hair, since March. I haven't been to the
I
barber.
I've done the COVID head shave.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I regret it. You
Oh,
know,
well, there's
you,
that.
you see you see it. It looks so good on other people, and you're like, well, I'm going to shave my head. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Now you can wear the hat though. You can wear those hats you can't get away with the hair. It just you look just bad
Right.
when you do that, like 1999 bad. But I mean, like that, so you can pull that off at least.
Yeah,
So you got that
exactly.
going. But for me, it's just been growing the hair out and like weighted blankets. Suddenly, I'm like really into weighted blankets and NyQuil. Ever since this election just happened, I've just been like, just this is me now. And so I've accepted it's time for everyone else to. But yes, I do. I do consider myself an expert when it comes to shaving.
Yeah, I was in that regard. Like, do you have dudes sliding your DMs wanting to show you their beard? You know what I mean?
Beards. Oh, dude, we call it shaves of the day in the
Oh, I
hobby.
love it.
Yeah, where people will post their different shaving products they use during the course of the day and snap a shot. And talking about TikTok and Instagram and all that jazz, they post it
Yeah.
there, and it's called SOTD. So before I really knew what people were talking about, I thought it was something they caught. Like, oh my god, he's good at this. It's like, STOD. Okay, I get it now. But yeah, shaves of the day is what they do. So yeah, I get all types of strange questions.
Yeah,
All
I
throughout. They're
bet.
not strange anymore. It's what's strange is when it's no longer strange. When I find myself watching another video of a guy shaving in his bathroom, like 10 years ago, that would have been disturbing. Now it's like, oh, it's just bizarre getting older, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have all these dudes just sliding your DMs like, look at this girth. And you're like, okay, is this your
Yes.
beard? Are we talking
Yeah,
about your
yeah,
beard?
yeah. I don't even
Yeah.
question anymore. I'm like, yeah, give me more. I'm like, I can help you. I'm like a doctor. But no, it's been a long, strange trip.
Yeah, that's got to be interesting to be, because there is so much misinformation out there about what, you're talking about dry shaves and wet shaves, and you should use this
Yeah.
shaving cream instead of the shaving gel, and you should be, all natural. You should be doing this and that. There's just so much and when it comes to beards and everything, you have another subcategory of, beard oils and beard lotions and all these
Yes.
combs you have to buy and all these
Yes.
things.
You have to buy them.
Yes, they force it down your
I
throat.
know it's bizarre because I remember, late 70s, early 80s, men have majestic beards and mustaches, and they weren't using special
Yes.
combs or special oils and balms and all that stuff. They weren't babying them. But so, I mean, like, you don't really need that stuff. I mean, if you have the money to throw on, into that, by all means, fill up your beard tank, if you will. But I mean, for the most part, like, just shampoo and conditioner. I might be jumping ahead of myself with the tips, but I mean,
Right.
yeah, it's bizarre. A lot of it's bizarre and overpriced.
So but now you've kind of focused on this idea of wet shave.
Yeah, traditional wet
I
shaving.
I had to Google what the fuck wet shave.
I know, I know. It's people outside of the hobby or the craft
Right.
don't know what everyone thinks or assumes they are wet shaving. So like, when I do a talk somewhere, I'm like, how many people are wet shavers? And everyone's hand goes up. Because they figure they use water, so that must be what he means. And it's no, wet shaving is when you use a traditional shaving brush and a traditional puck of soap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it right there.
So this led me down. Well, first I searched for it on Pornhub first. I thought wet
Oh, well,
shave.
of
That
course. I mean,
sounds,
yeah,
where to go.
yeah.
No, then no, but seriously, I looked up wet shave and I was reading the definition. And then you talked about this traditional razor, and I was like, well, what the fuck is that? Like, isn't that just a?
Yeah.
I thought it was like talking about just like an old Bic you buy at the dollar
No.
store. And no,
Yeah.
this thing is like a knife turned sideways with a razor
Yeah, it's
handle on it.
badass.
It's legit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks super dangerous. Is it dangerous?
It's so dangerous. I don't recommend it. No. It's called a safety razor. It's called a safety razor for a reason, because it's the exact opposite of dangerous. It's not dangerous. And it's also made out of metal. It's heirloom. You know, you can pass it down to your children. Your children can pass it down to their children, so on and so forth. It's going to last forever. Made out of metal. No plastic involved, so it's not filling up landfills. It's not disposable. It's not one size fits all, because there's hundreds of different makes and models of safety razors out there. When it comes to the blades, instead of using cartridge razor blades, where it's like 4 for 28, you use double
Right.
edged blades, where you can get 100 of these for like $9 to $15. So there's incredible savings there, and there's hundreds of different brands of those too. So you can finally, for the first time in your shave life, customize that tool for the job, for your own unique face. And the reason, you know, going back to beards, the reason why I think beards are so popular right now is men are just kind of pissed off. They're sick of hurting themselves. Again, when I speak anywhere, I'm always asking people how many guys out there think they have sensitive skin, and 9 out of 10 hands in the audience go up every time. We can't all have sensitive skin. What's been happening is we've been inadvertently giving it to ourselves by using these one size fits all, you know, cookie cutter cartridge razors for years. We've been sold a bill of goods, and they were never invented because they were a better shaver than the double-edged safety razor. They were invented around 70s, early 70s, 1970, 71. Gillette was losing its trademarks not trademarks. It was losing its patents for their double-edged blades. So they needed to invent something else. And that's when the multi-blades came into use. And that's when you get ingrown hairs, razor burn, and all that other stuff that comes with those. But ingrown hairs and razor bumps, they didn't exist before the early 70s. They created the problem. And then they created the solution too. So they started selling salves and for, you know, hair bumps and all this other jazz.
Right, and your aftershaves.
Yeah. Cartridge razor conspiracy is what I call it. And for those folks who are into conspiracies.
I love that, and I want to talk more about that, but I want to stay on this traditional razor for a second. Can you describe, like, how do you? And you said you can keep it and pass it down, and you're changing out these blades. Is it easy to maintain?
Oh, it's
Because
super easy.
I've never seen or heard of this before this Google search. I was like, what is this?
Dude. It's
a
good thing I showed up when I did.
Yes. Because you know, I've been a member of the Dollar Shave Club or whatever that thing is for years.
Oh, it hurts me.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Well, that's the thing, is people are typically like, you know, I'm in the Dollar Shave, and it's like, yeah, you're saving money, but so what if you're using inferior products? It's still a cartridge razor.
Right.
You know, and that's my whole problem with it is, this is actually one of ours. This one glows in the dark, but this is a slant.
Oh, wow.
Double-edged safety razor called the El Fantasma. But this is the blade inside. So it's 3-piece. You unscrew the handle traditionally, and then you pop off the bottom, and there's the blade right there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your product, but do all traditional razors typically screw off of the head like that, or are they all different? Or
no, for the most part, half of them do, and half of them don't. The other ones have what we call silo doors on top, or butterfly safety razors, and that's where the top, you unscrew the handle here. There's a little knob. You unscrew that, and the top opens up like silo doors, like ready to launch missiles or something into your face. Yeah. And so there's 2 different styles. I prefer a 3-piece model. I just find it's easier. It's less clunky and heavy on top, easier to get under the nose with. But yeah, that's a safety razor, and the single blade is where it's at. A lot of the problems that we see with shaving is too close of a shave, and I don't mean like, it's like beyond baby butt smooth shaves. It's where the hair is cut so short it drops below the skin when you're begging for ingrown hairs or whatever other issues there are out there. So you want to use a single blade, because every time you drag a blade across your face, you're taking off a layer of skin. So the more blades on that stick you're dragging across your face, the more layers of skin you're taking off as well, thus giving you inadvertently sensitive skin and all those other skin issues that we're seeing.
So that razor you just showed me only has one blade.
Yeah, just one blade. Yeah,
but it looks like it's from the fucking future, by the way. Because it doesn't look like all the other ones I googled look like they're from like mid-century. It looks like something George Washington shaved with. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're all like.
Oh yeah, no, I do have some metal ones too somewhere. I have
but these look like they're from the future. The angles and the.
Yeah, that one's a slant razor, so it's a little bit different for the head. It's the whole concept behind that one is it's more like a guillotine where it cuts at an angle, so it's more of a more efficient cut. It's the Germans invented this one. This actually is based on a model from late 1930s. Yeah. Wow. So yeah. and it still works just as good today. And it's also open comb, so it has comb. Some have straight bars, but super safe to use, super safe to handle, and a far better shave, better for your face, better for your wallet, and better for the planet at the end of the day, because you're not throwing crap into the landfill like goo in a can. You're using soap in a puck. You're using hot lather for the first time rather than it's the aerosol stuff. So I mean, it's just a whole meditative experience in comparison to what we've been doing, and it becomes more of something you look forward to rather than just a daily, like, regimen.
Oh yeah, I hate shaving. I'm sure most men out there
Exactly.
who are listening to this hate it, and women too. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's a great question. Is when it comes to the ladies, are they
Mhm.
able to use that on their legs and other parts,
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
is that gonna fuck up their legs and stuff, or will it leave?
No, no, no. I know women that use straight razors on their legs too. It makes for a closer shave. They don't have to shave as much. And what you want, if you're a lady listening, what you want to look for when it comes to a safety razor is a longer handle. It just gives you more, because they have more surface area to work with.
Size matters. Yeah,
Size matters. Size matters.
Size matters when you're looking for razors out there, ladies.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought we were shifting gears for a second. Like, we were talking to the ladies. I don't know what I mean.
So I bought into the hype of Dollar Shave Club years ago, like I said, and they sold me all the goods, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had the shaving, the butter, whatever, the shave butter.
Yeah.
I had that for a while. I
Yeah,
thought that
yeah.
was going to be like a game changer. It really wasn't.
No.
They peddle you these ideas of like, this is going to make your life easier and better.
It's going to
and
change your
cooler.
life. Yeah, no. I when I say that, I mean it. That guy, he doesn't mean it. He was trying to sell. I think his friend's father had a surplus of blades or something like that, or cartridge razors, and they put that together really quick. But I mean, brilliant commercial. That first commercial,
Yeah.
brilliant. Funny guy, really good stuff. But when it comes to the goods he's selling, no, it'll hurt you.
So yeah, do you want to talk about those companies that do sell you like these monthly plans? Do you see them lasting or
Yes, I do see them lasting because it's lasted for 50 years now. So I mean, like, people are still going to be buying these things. Cartridge razors are still going to be there. I mean, at the price they're selling them at, to some people, it's just like brushing their teeth. It's something they have to do every day. So they're not going to put much thought or energy into it. However, once you try this for the first time, it's going to be a total game changer. You'll never look back. It's like going to the barber and getting a straight razor shave. When you walk out of there, we call it facerbating. You're feeling your skin like, oh my God, all day long, you're feeling your skin up. And it's like, so, I mean, like, how can I achieve something like this on my own? And the answer is by using a safety razor or using a straight razor too. I can get behind both of those things. Straight razor is a one-time investment. You don't need to buy any more blades for that. You just need to keep it sharp and honed and strong.
wow. Yeah, like you're out in the wilderness. You just rub it against a tree and sharpen
like you're wearing flannel. Exactly.
All right, so sell me on the wet shave. What's all involved? How do I get started in wet shaving? What exactly is it?
I thought you'd never ask. Well, first you go to howtowetshave.com, where a gentleman will be teaching you how to wet shave there. But what you do, the first thing you do is you pick up a safety razor. Now you can get a safety razor. This is the great thing too, is you can pick up a vintage safety razor as well. So if your grandpappy left you a safety razor, some people do, they have them in the drawers in the bathroom and whatnot. You can still use that. These 75-year-old razors will still shave as good today as they did when they came off the assembly line so many years back.
That's insane.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, these are the real deal Holyfield.
What about rust? I'm sorry. I feel like this is like some kind of cheesy infomercial. But what about rust?
Well, Michael, if you've had your tetanus shot, you don't need to worry about such things. Right. But no, they shouldn't be rust. I mean, they don't rust typically. The different metals they were using, they weren't using steel back then for the most part. They're using chrome plated or nickel plated or whatever. Or even these are Bakelite. Bakelite was big too, especially during the war because they were conserving metal. And I'm a huge fan of Bakelite. Actually, I did a limited release of Bakelite razors years ago. But I digress. So what you need to do to begin is pick up a safety razor. Again, you can find some on eBay for as low as like $10, or you can go to my site, phoenixshaving.com, or wherever. Just Google safety razors, and you'll find a slew of them. And now, keep in mind too, you may not fall in love with the first one you buy, but that's what this is all about. This is why we're moving over to safety razors, because we want to be able to find the right tools and customize that shape for our own unique faces. So you might not get the right one the first time. However, it will be a far better shave as you learn, and the more you do it, the better the shave is. But
So, so
I'm
are there different tiers of when you say find the right one? Are there different levels of
no,
options there, or
oh well, yeah. There are options out there. There are different tiers, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just your mileage may vary. So whatever works for your
okay?
face, it's going to be different for everybody. So I can only guide you, and on this trip. But I mean, like it really, you're going to have to do a lot of footwork. But you need to embrace it because I'm telling you, it's going to be a better shave. It's going to be something you really look forward to in the morning. There's nothing like hot lather. There's nothing like just a nice, good old fashioned shave. So you would need a shave brush. This is a vintage one right here.
Oh,
Shave
okay.
brush, a puck of soap, and that's another thing too. Is now you're entering the world of soaps and scents and aftershaves, and that's one of those reasons why guys do shaves of the day photos because they have so many different products because they're all scented differently. We have almost 70 different scents at any one given moment.
Oh my God.
Yeah, from like rum and chocolate to bay rum to just all types of stuff that smells like. I made one called La Tierra, which smells like dirt, and people love it. It was kind of a joke at first, but people really ate it up, kind
That's
of. And
hilarious.
yeah, so I mean, like you can really you can just geek out on this hardcore. And so you find a soap that works for you, like for your nose, your schnoz, a brush. You would load the puck first, hot water on the soap puck, then with the brush, load it on top of the puck, and then move it over to your face and build the lather there. Or you could use a bowl and build a lather in the bowl, and then apply it to your face. But I'm a face lather most of the time. So you build it up, add water as needed to get it foofy. It doesn't need to be like foamy, like the stuff that comes out of the can, because that's just air. You want it to make full contact with your skin. That's another problem with these aerosol spray soaps is they're not making complete contact with all of your skin. So that right there, aside from the propellants that are also in there that have no business being on your skin, this is just a far better way of doing it. So yeah, applying a natural soap. The brush also is, it stimulates the skin before the shave. It also has light exfoliation or exfoliation. I won't even say light because there's nothing more exfoliating than a shave. They sell you all these exfoliating products these days, and it's like, dude, you just shaved. Now you with a blade. Now you're gonna put exfoliating products in your face, and they walk out of the bathroom shiny. Sorry, just pissing me off all the exfoliating stuff I see. So yeah, then you apply the lather, then you do your first pass. The first pass would be with the grain. The longer the foam, the lather stays on your face, the better. That's why we recommend taking a shower first, because you want the whiskers to suck up the water. The more water they suck up, the fatter they get, and they're an easier target for
So
the
you're saying
razors.
shave after the shower? Because I would
Yes.
assume that most guys are like me that we're shaving before we get in the shower,
Oh no, no,
or
yeah, yeah.
during.
Yeah, no, no, yeah. Well, actually, I'm a shower shaver. If we're going to get into that, but that's
Okay, there you go.
but most guys are shaving at the sink these days when it comes to safety razors and
Yeah.
traditional shaving. So yeah, you want to do that so the hair has a chance, an opportunity rather, to suck up the water, and that's why we use lather. It's to keep water and moisture on your face for the hair to suck it up. So it's made of the fatter target. And then you start shaving with the grain, and then rinse and repeat. Relather up, and now you go across the grain. And you can stare if you're feeling happy with where it's at, or you can do a third pass, lather up again, and then go against the grain. And I said against the grain. I know that's like a no-no for many people,
Yeah,
but
that's
trust me,
a
it's only a no-no because we've been using cartridge razors that everyone shaved against the grain back in the day when you used a safety razor or a straight razor. It wasn't this weird thing. It's not going to hurt you when you use a safety razor. That comes out of the cartridge razor world. So you got to get that out of your mind right now. You got to get a couple things out of your mind. One, that you have sensitive skin, because you probably don't. You just need to let your skin heal and then start using a safety razor. And two, shaving against the grain is a-okay. Just save it for the last pass to give the hairs plenty of time to soak up more water, but you're going to be fine. And that's that. You can stop right there, or you could do a fourth pass if you want. But the thing is, a lot of people chase a BBS or a baby butt smooth shave. Don't do that because again, the hairs are filled up with water, so it's going to feel like you still have. This is a mistake a lot of guys make, including cartridge razor shavers, is they think there's still more hair to shave because they can feel it. But wait a half an hour, that's going to go down as the water dissipates from the whiskers. So don't chase a baby butt smooth shave ever, be it using cartridge razors or a safety razor. Just a little tip I'd like to throw in there.
So I have a couple of questions, and one is this idea of this in this transformation phase of going from traditional shave, or well, what we've been marketed as is traditional shave with
Right.
let's say a multi-blade razor and some shaving cream, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I want to make the switch over to the wet shave and the straight razors. how long can I just do that, or should I wait a couple days? Should I go a couple days without shaving before switching over to let my skin heal, or what does that look like,
Yeah.
that time period?
Yeah, it's kind of like when you switch deodorants from an antiperspirant to a natural deodorant, and you want to wait a couple days or a week. It's very similar. Yeah, you want to wait a couple days, also just to give the hair a chance to grow out, so it's easier to grab onto with the blade, and like you can, it makes it gives you more audible feedback to let you know that have it at the right angle. It's like a 30-degree angle. So yeah, it wouldn't hurt you. In fact, it would only help you to wait a few days before you jumped into it. So good question.
My second question is about this lather. What is this made up of? You said to mix it in a bowl and all this. Is this the
Hmm.
scented stuff that
Shave soap.
this product that you're talking about with just water?
Yeah, it's a shave soap. You can get shave pucks. Like back in the day, they used to throw them in mugs.
Okay.
Or ours, we pour directly into tubs, plastic tubs. So what I do is I put hot water on it, a couple tablespoons of hot water on it first. I'm not measuring it out, just over the sink, and let that sit for usually while I'm in the shower. Then dump that out, and then I start loading the brush on top of it. But the hot water activates the essential oils in there and the fragrances, kind of like when you light incense or burn a candle, the volatile oils are lifted into the air. It's the same thing when you use hot water. Whenever you heat like a soap, it blooms the scent more. So that's why I do that. I also do it to soften the soap if it's a harder puck. Softer pucks, you don't necessarily need to do that. But again, I like it because it boosts the scent, and I'm a frag guy. Um, so yeah.
And you're big in the scents. I was reading up about you, and you started making perfumes and these scents at like age 8. Is this can't be right? Right? This is crazy. Is that
It is
true?
crazy. It is true. Yeah,
Wow.
well, I was also making bombs with that same chemistry set. So just I want my man card back. But yeah, no, it was, and it was a fluke, really. It was around Mother's Day, and I had the recipe book that came with the chemistry set, and there was one for perfume. So I'm a kid, I don't have any money, so I want to make my mother a perfume. So I made her a rose perfume from utilizing the buds in the backyard, and yeah, and she still has it to this day. I don't know what that says about the quality of it, but I mean, yeah, she still has it.
She's like, she still hasn't used it. I
Yeah,
gave it to
but I
her.
mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but ouch. But yeah, but that was it. I mean, it's not like since I was 8 years old I've been making fragrances, because I haven't.
Right,
I've
right.
had a whole life in between. But yeah, I showed an interest back then.
Yeah, you have this. You have such an interesting backstory. Again, I'm reading different parts here
Oh, it's
about
crazy.
you,
Yeah,
and you living in a hammock in the rainforest. Like,
yeah.
what? How do you get to that point?
How do you get to
what
that point? That's
What
my friends were asking me the
happens?
same thing when that was going on. Is
That
he
is
having a
such a
breakdown? I said,
exactly.
yeah,
That's
things are
such a
bad.
Chappelle
Things are real
moment.
bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was actually. I wonder if it was the same time. He might have been in the
Right.
hammock next to me, for all I know. I'm thinking more Gary Larson, because I feel like he did that too. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, he was
yeah.
right there in the hammock. And well, God, I've done so many things. I was a professional musician for years, and I was trying to just go away. I went on a vacation to Central America. I fell in love with where I was at, and I was like, I need to move here. And my bandmate was with me at the time. He's like, you can't move here. I was like, we can move here. You're right. And he's like, no, I can't move here either. I'm like, right. So I don't know. We went back home after extending our trip. We were there for over a month because we were just in love with the place. And I was like,
Wow,
I got to
yeah.
make this happen. And so I just, saved up every penny I owned. And within 10 months, I moved to Costa Rica. Not knowing anybody, not knowing the language, just with this dream. And again, yeah, my family, friends thought I was having a breakdown. I was just walking away from so many things, but honestly, it was the best move I've ever made. I mean, it was really such a magical place. I mean, just the quality of life was so much more. And but also the sand fleas were a lot to deal with as well, and that's what led me into creating what I called itch no mas. And it was kind of like an afterbite type solution. And I was working with just the chemicals that were available to me at the local pharmacia. And I put together this concoction that actually worked, and it was so popular. Even the locals, as well as other tourists, were knocking on my tent flap to get some. And I thought, as I was swinging the hammock, like, if I ever make it back to the United States, I'm going to sell this stuff. I'm going to ship it down here and, see how it does. And I did that 4 years later. I didn't ever think that was going to happen, but 4 years later, I was back in the States, and I came back to the Etsy world. This didn't exist before I
Right.
left. So I was like, what is this Etsy thing? And like the playing field I found out was leveled, and I could just buy bottles and labels and sell stuff. And so I started doing that. I created another product called Stink No Mas, and that was emergency insect repellent / deodorant. So as you wore it in sweat, it would release the fragrance into the air that kept away the bugs. And that was actually more popular. And it was in like a chapstick size tube, so you traveled really well. But that was actually more popular than the Itch No Mas. But after a while, and I was doing great, but the shipping was the part that was killing me. And so I was like, I need to focus more on the United States and the rest of the world rather than just sending stuff down to Central America. And that's kind of in a nutshell how I started with what I'm doing now. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, there was a blog in between there too, but
Yeah, you're like an Iron Man of grooming. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like he's just in a cave
I get that a
building these
lot.
suits, and
Yeah.
here you are in a hammock making all these
Well, they would
lotions.
call me the professor down there because like the professora because it was a lot like that. I was collecting stuff on the trash on a beach somewhere and bringing it back to my campsite and building things that I didn't have. And like I built a washing machine too. That's another story for another podcast. But I mean, like as I was always just building stuff. That's what I was known for down there.
How did you get into this idea of building? Is this always a passion that you've had, or
I think I just did a lot of drugs in the '90s, and it's
yeah?
kind of
You're like, what if the toaster made deodorant?
yeah,
Like,
and a bong. It doubles as yeah. Okay, crumbs on me. Yeah, no, I just I've always been like that. In fact, if anyone's seen my YouTube channels or whatnot, I'm kind of like the Martha Stewart of shaving when it comes to like craft time, and which again is a lot like building bongs back in the day. Everything can be a bong, everything can be something to do with shaving.
Yeah, and again, I'm reading up on you, and it's just fucking fascinating. And I come across this interview with you, and you had talked about drinking aloe lotion, and it blew my fucking mind.
What
And
interview is that? I
yeah,
do that.
Yeah, you were talking about talking about the nutrients that are in it that are good for your hair and good for your skin and
Stomach
hydrating and all
lining. Oh
stomach
yeah,
lining.
it's
Yes.
awesome. It's awesome. It really
So,
is. I used to drink. I mean, I was a drinker back in the day, and so I found that I could last longer and feel better the next day if I was mixing half water, half aloe, and a squirt of lemon juice. The lemon juice was pretty much to kill any. This was in Central America too, as well. Kill parasitos if there's any bugs or anything that in there, but it also just also great for the vitamin C and keeps the scurvies away. But yeah, so a half aloe, half water, and a squirt of lemon juice. You can get aloe in most supermarkets nowadays, it seems. But yeah, it's good stuff. So good for you.
yeah, and you're talking about mixing it instead of taking supplements or pills or whatever. How do you even go about starting that? How do you switch over to this aloe lotion?
The way.
The way. Yeah, you've seen it have all these like this way of life that you're living almost all natural, but I guess it comes with your passion of an invention and stuff like this, where you're taking stuff that you have around you and making it work better for you.
Yeah. Well, food is mood and everything else. So I mean, like, and when it comes to absorption, the wholer the food that you're consuming, the higher the chance of it absorbing, rather than these powders and stuff like that they're putting in capsules and so on and so forth. Because absorption for different nutrients happens at different times during the course of the day. So you could have taken something in the morning, but it may not have been absorbed before you peed it out after the fact. So I mean, like, it's not there anymore. So if you are supplementing, I recommend doing it throughout the course of the day here and there. And hopefully you're going to nail it, but it's different for everybody. But yeah, when it comes to the aloe juice, that's what I've always had in mind too, is just keeping it whole and as whole as you can to the plants rather than processed, just for the sake of absorption.
I have an aloe plant upstairs. I'm just going to cut off a leaf and
Yeah.
I'm just going to eat it after this podcast.
Just like a pixie stick, just suck it right out of the. Yeah, you could totally do that. Rub it into your gums, like
right. I guess I want to go down this path that led you to shaving, because it seems like it was in the beginning more about it was more formula based, right? You're making these bug creams, these sprays, these more so on the health side of things, right? This aloe juice lotion and stuff. You're all about this betterment of body, and shaving is such an exterior thing. How did you make that switch, or do you remember ever consciously making that switch?
yeah, I mean, like Shaving is just an extension, I think, of health and like, and style. It's more, I mean, we all have to do it is what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
And more often than not, you only feel as good as you look. So again, I feel it's just an extension or expression or extension of style, personal style. How I got into shaving, however, is I grew up watching my dad on the weekends. He would do a traditional shave. He had two razors from my grandfather that he inherited. And he would, take his time doing it with the brush, the soap, lather up. And he saw that I was interested in watching this, so he would set up a little stool next to the sink. I'd stand up there, and he'd give me the other razor without the blade, of course. He'd
Right.
lather me up, and show me the technique as he's doing it, and the best he could. Just humoring the kid, but that was my first interest, and it was watching him. So all the scents related to that, and just it was me and dad time on the weekends when he wasn't working. So it was just that's how I got into it. And of course, life, I grew up, and when I turned, I think 18, thanks to civil service, they send you that mock razor. Did you get a razor in the mail?
No, I didn't.
So many guys have gotten razors in the mail. It was like the mock, I don't know, 8 or 9, whatever the
Oh,
hell it
you know
was.
what? Yeah, yeah. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yes, when you turn 18.
Holy
I
shit.
know. It's the man. This is part of the cartridge razor
Yeah.
conspiracy. So yeah, once they get your information, yeah, you get one of those. So I had one of those, and
You're telling me that big government is behind shaving?
dude, it's Big Razor. And yeah, so I mean, that's how they get you. And so I was doing that for a long while, and it took me some time to get back to safety razors, only because up until the explosion of the internet. In early 2000s, you couldn't find these blades anywhere. You couldn't find double-edged blades. Everyone was selling cartridge razor blades. So it just wasn't easy to do. So you could have a vintage antique razor, but there was no blade for it. Now we have access to all these things again. And now there's a new interest in it, a renaissance when it comes to traditional shaving. So all this stuff is available once again, thanks to businesses like ours, that are bringing back old things and traditional ways of doing things. And so yeah, it wasn't until probably about early 2000s that I got back into it and was like, oh, this is the way. I don't know what I was doing. However, I was using a brush and soap the entire time. And
Wow.
I'd find those at the health food stores. They'd always sell these brushes and soaps, and I remembered my dad, so I would always use that. I wasn't using it right though, or rather, the soap they sell in the health food stores doesn't lather right. It's not made to be used with a brush, but they sell it with the brush. There's a few brands out there. I won't name any, but if you
Yeah.
hang out at Whole Foods like I once did, you're probably using these same products, and they're garbage. There's better soaps out there.
So, what am I looking for when I am looking for the right soap? Are there any tips or tricks?
PhoenixShaving.com.
But am I looking for lather? Am I looking for bubbles? Am I looking for
Oh no, okay. Bubbles are bad. Bubbles just
bubbles are
indicate
bad.
air.
All right.
But
Okay.
that's air. You want a yogurty Cool Whip
Ooh.
type.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you're going for, and that comes with practice. I mean, you might nail it the first time, but it's just about getting the water to soap ratio right. And that's why I say just add water as you're lathering your face. Add water as you go, dipping it under in the sink, the brush that is, and working it into the soap. And the more you stay at it, the foofier it's going to get, the more yogurty it's going to get. And again, using the brush, you're applying it to all of your skin. It's not floating on your face like the goo in a can.
Do you think because I was in London a few years ago on tour, and it was a big thing to go to a traditional barber shop, and they still have a lot of the barber shop
Oh yeah.
setups there, and
Yep.
instead of like hair salons and this and that, a lot of them are,
Right.
for male grooming. And in the UK there especially, they were still doing that wet shave or that traditional shave razor where they sit you back in the chair and they lather
Yeah.
you up and they do the hot shave there, which is fantastic. It feels incredible.
Yeah.
Do you think that the reason that it's not as popular in America is because we have kind of this hustle and bustle mentality, we got to go, 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 work, work, work. And
Yeah.
where in the UK, it's more relaxed, and it's, they have a great balance of work life there. Where in America, it's never sleep, no days off, like
Yeah,
we have this
yeah,
mentality of competition here. Do you think that feeds
yes.
into this marketing of the quick shave and these multi blades and that growth of that movement?
There's that, and there's also the fear of germs. For legal reasons, we've kind of
Ooh.
moved away from using straight razors in barbershops. In fact, whenever you see a straight razor, typically in a barbershop, they're using a shavette, which has removable blades, which more often than not is a double-edged blade they're using. They're just snapping it in half and they put it inside the shavette, and that's what they're shaving you with. And they market it as a straight razor shave, but it's not. It's a shavette shave, and that's usually just required by law in that state. Some states you can get away with that, but for the most part, they're not using traditional straight razors. So I think that has to do with it. But yeah, the mentality's different. It's not go, go, go. And then there's the island mentality of the Brits. And they just have a whole different set of anxieties over there. I listen to Pink Floyd. I know where it's at. But quiet desperation, I get it. But they do have time to sit back and have a straight razor shave, so I respect that.
So we're talking about this idea of you spending time with making sure that what you're putting inside your body and outside your body is important to you. I guess that leads me down the path of self-care in general. Are you a self-care guy? Are you into that, or
Is that like a thing now? Selfcare.com. I don't know.
yeah?
I got to be careful with what I say. Yes, I'm totally into it, because I did an article on socks one time, and I joined this forum after the fact, and the stuff I was getting in the DMs was,
Oh my god.
yeah,
No,
I had
it's
to
not.
leave. Okay, it's
I
like, do you self-care? I mean,
I just got into self-care a few years ago, and
oh,
I
so it is a thing.
now I'm
Okay, okay.
yeah, now I'm journaling and I'm meditating. I'm doing all the
Oh,
fucking
okay.
things, trying to be a better person. And it feels like you're already on this path of self-betterment, right? But again, with the stuff that you have made in the past and the way you treat your body and what you're doing with it. So I would just assume that it's tied to this general idea of self improvement or
Oh
betterment.
yeah, no, you're definitely right. Yeah, kidding aside, I came out as a vegan about 20 years ago. So I've been vegan for the last 20 years. I do yoga every morning. I do pranayama breathing
Wow.
every morning. I do a 2 mile hike with 25 pounds in my backpack every day in the desert. I have
Wow.
since COVID hit, I can't go to the gym, so I have like different training stations all around the house, much to the chagrin of my girlfriend. But I mean, like in front of the TV, there's weights there. It's just because if you see stuff, you'll use stuff. Because if you don't
Yeah.
use stuff, she'll start yelling at you about the stuff. So you gotta know, but I'm using it. So I mean, so
Right.
yeah, I have just different. My bench is in my bedroom now. Like it's insane. So yeah, I do try to. I do it every day. I'm always in it. I also, I'm always trying to. I'm studying Spanish again. I'm getting back into that because my goal was to do the Pilgrim Trail, the Camino de Santiago, last April. And are you familiar with that?
Yeah. How many miles is that?
500.
Holy
Well,
shit.
the traditional, I mean, from France to Santiago is 500.
See,
So
I
yeah,
thought it was around 200 and you're saying five. That's insane, dude.
yeah. I mean, there's different. I mean, there's different trails leading to it, so it depends which one you get on. But the traditional one is 500, and so I was supposed to do that in April, and then this stuff hit. There's
Right.
a couple
Yeah.
things that I had to put on the kibosh on. One was another event, excuse me, that we do is called the Big Shaves West. It's a conference I throw every year, a shaving conference with different panels and vendors and so on and so forth. It's kind of like a Lollapalooza of shaving. We make a week of it. I do tours in Tombstone with, we rent vans, bring guys down there and show them Tombstone and everything else, and then have the big event on Saturday. But I had to cancel that. I had to cancel my trip, which was supposed to transpire right after that. And I'd been training already for it. And now it's like, I'm like in this holding pattern waiting to get there. But it's something I've been wanting to do since 1997. I was working at Strawberries Music. I was a manager of a music store, but there was a Bucka bookstore next door to it, and I'd always buy like these, whimsical, like paranormal type books, and one of them was on the Pilgrim Trail, and so I was reading about it back then. Like, this sounds so cool. I need to do this. Like Templars were there and everything else. Which is different because now it's kind of like this. Everyone knows about it. Like I went to EMS not EMS. I went to REI to get fitted for a backpack, and I started talking about thinking that she didn't know what I was talking about. Like, yeah, gonna do this trail over in Europe. You probably never heard of it. And she's like, oh, are you gonna take a class here? I was like, a class for the Pilgrim Trail? She's like, yeah, the Camino de Santiago. And it's like, oh, and so it's like this thing now, and it's just a lot like everyone being a comedian, which we talked about beforehand.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of cheapens it for me. So I'm like punk rock when it comes to most things in life, and Like I was a hipster before it was cool. And so everyone's doing it now. And like, so I'm reading all these books, and you talk about your journaling. Everyone's journaling on the Camino Trail. You can watch their videos online. You can read like this, every book out there. And it's just so bloody self-absorbing. All these books I'm reading, like everyone's like just broken on this trail. And it's like, I just want to go there to see the stuff the Templars built. You know, I want to like, I want the history and the mystery. So I'm going to write my own book. It's going to be completely different. But yeah, it's turned into this like whole phenomenon, which is cool though. I mean, granted, a lot of the experiences I'm reading about with people are the same experiences I had traveling abroad to Central America. It seems like whenever you get out there and put yourself in these situations where you're just apart from everything, you're going to have a similar experience. And I think for the first time, that's what's happening with a lot of people on the Camino Trail. So I respect that. And I kid, but it's amazing how it's turned this thing now. So I don't even need to explain it anymore to folks. They know what I'm talking about. However, if you're listening right now, you should definitely Google Camino de Santiago or the Pilgrim Trail. But it really is. It's life changing, and so I'm told. But I'm really looking forward to it. And again, so I'm in a holding pattern.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it on the head. I mean, it is. I mean, growth happens when you're outside of your comfort zone. Nobody grows, nobody gets better being comfortable. No. And you know, I talk about that all the time, about how we have to push ourselves and push our own boundaries, because it's, you know, so many times we get caught up in this idea of what this other person has, you know, a nicer car, this house. You're scrolling through social media, and you see this or that, and we have this instant jealousy now or this instant feeling envy. Yes, instant envy of like, oh my God, why can't I have that? Why can't? And in reality, it's never you versus them. It's always you versus you
versus you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the only way that you get to a better spot in your life or in your place or your mind is pushing yourself, and that growth comes from challenging yourself. And
it's true. Everything that we're seeing right now in this world, and especially in this country, is an expression of like people not being uncomfortable. They're too comfortable. When you're too comfortable, that's where racism comes from. That's where all this greed comes from and everything. When you get out there and you have no support, and you got to figure it out for yourself, you start looking at the world differently. And especially when you get outside the country, it gives you more perspective. I would be meeting up with people, as you know, you travel outside. It's like the United Nations when you're hanging out with people from different countries, like and they want
diversity.
And for the first time, and they're interested in what you have to say about politics. Here, no one wants to hear you because they all got their own opinion or they agree with you. But out there, they really like, what does a North American have to say? Because down there, it's another thing I learned is I would say I'm American, and they'd be like, well, I am too. It's like, right. Central American, South American. So I can't say that anymore. And so it's like, but right there, that gave me in that moment a greater perspective of how to, like, here in the United States, we have the World Series and only play ourselves. I mean, it's like we don't have perspective when it comes to everyone else in the world.
It's all ego. We are told we are the best. We're number one. We're this. We're that. And then you go outside of the country and you start talking to different walks of life and different types of people, and you realize how small where you came from is, and your surroundings and this and that. And that ego is just that. It's just bravado. It's just chest beating. It's just that idea of like, we're number one. And then you talk to somebody from somebody else and they're like, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, exactly. And it's then you buy that Canadian patch to put on your backpack.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I did that for a while. I was like, yes, I'm from Canada. And they're like, oh, me too. Where are you from? I'm like, Toronto. Me too. Oh, where'd you grow? And he's like, oh, you're a gringo, aren't you? It's like, yeah. I don't blame you, mate. You know, and it's like, but it does. It really, that's like that. When it comes to self-improvement, self-awareness, the biggest and best thing you can do is leave the country for more than a week. That's another thing that we do in this country is we take a vacation we take a week off. We have a week of vacation. No other country does that. You take a month off. You need to like lose that like fear you have the first week. It takes a little while to let your guard down. A week is not long enough. So you need to stay longer someplace and really get into the groove and the time. And that is where change comes from. It really does. It really just gets you thinking differently. It blows the tubes.
Yeah, a week in another country, you're still eating at McDonald's in fucking Spain. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't know what I could have here. Let me get a McChicken. It's like, no,
And
man,
some
go
people
to
dream
the
like that too. In their dreams, they go to McDonald's. It's like you're in a dream. You can go to Mars and eat it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
oh.
exactly. Yeah,
But it's
that's what
free, so they go.
yeah, this idea that we have of again going back to this ego and this bravado here in America, we have this idea of like, I'm going on vacation. I'm really going to see the world. Where are you going? Myrtle Beach.
Or Aruba. It's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I'm going to Hawaii for 3 days.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
like,
The Big
okay,
Island. Yeah. I love Hawaii. Every street is the ABC store. Like that's how
yeah,
bad it is. It's the same store on each block. You know, like you just
yeah.
walk down it, and each one of them has one different item, I think. So you do have a reason to be there, I think. But I mean, like it's
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
that's the
we're
worst.
really branching out. We're staying at a Hilton in Hawaii.
Yeah, yeah, we're roughing it.
Okay, cool.
No, you got to get dirty. You got to get it on you when you travel, is what it all comes down to. So yeah, to bring it back, I was really looking forward to doing just that for the Camino de Santiago, and the bottom fell out with the plague. However, once it passes, I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'll be hopefully back there. But I'm still like so. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Studying Spanish. I'm getting back in my Spanish, trying to become just fluent. I was never fluent, and so now I have like the speaker in my shower. I have like stuff, the laminated stuff in my shower. I'm looking at
Right.
that. I have like the projector for my computer on the ceiling. So when I'm lying down on a massaging thing, I'm still doing lessons. When I do my hike, I'm listening to the audio. I'm just constantly trying to expose myself,
Yeah, trying to
immerse
just
myself in
engulf
it.
yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And even if it's not conscious, it's still in there somewhere. I know. So when I have a
Mhm.
beer in another country, somewhere I'll pull it out and it'll happen. But yeah, it's just constantly trying to better yourself, I guess. I mean, especially now. Now is the best excuse ever. This
Oh my
COVID
God.
thing. I mean, it's like you don't have to learn how to play the ukulele. There are other things to do out there. I don't know if you've been getting these ads, but I've been getting ads for ukuleles. And yeah, I did buy one. But it's just been a distraction. There's other things too. There's so many. If there's something you've always wanted to do right now, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I have a buddy of mine who always talks about time in such a way. Whenever you can't get away with saying I didn't have time to do that. Like if he sends me something to read or listen to, like I didn't
Yeah.
have time, and he's like, no, you didn't make time to do that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's so annoying, but he's so fucking right. I mean,
I know.
it doesn't make it less right. He's like, I
Yeah.
do have the time. You're right. I
Yeah.
didn't make the time
Yeah.
for it because,
Yeah.
and especially during these fucking lockdowns, and I can't believe we're still here a year later. But
I do.
yeah,
There's so many freaking idiots out there. Just wear the mask. It's a mask.
oh my God, it's insane. But yeah, so this is the perfect time. If not when, if not now,
Yeah.
then when?
You can't bitch about it in the future that you never learned how to do something, because now is I've actually learned how to do the knuckle roll with the coin.
Oh yeah.
For months I've been sitting in front of the TV doing, like, I wanted to be like Doc Holliday. And yeah, so now I do it both hands. And it's insane. I wish I would have brought one with me to show you. But I mean, like things like small things like that I never had time before to do. Even the toilet paper, I'm putting it on the thing right now, and the top over. Like I'm doing it right because I do have the time now. There's no excuse otherwise.
Making the time.
The time.
That's great.
Yeah.
I now I do want to talk about that idea of since we're on this idea of self-care and self-betterment and all that. Since we're down this road,
Oh, yeah.
I talk about another thing, which is the male narrative in this country, which is just so usually
Yeah.
so alpha and everything like that. And I feel like you have a great mixture here because I hear you talk about your father and you're around these men who shave with straight razors and have beards and have these really manly, or what we're told, these manly qualities. Yet you have this side to you that's all about self-improvement and betterment. And you're on this you're hiking, you're getting out in nature, and you're trying to create change out in the world and in your own life. And a lot of times those worlds can get really messy trying to blend together. I know that I have that all the time where I'll post something about self-care or improvement or journaling or something, and you get that flack of that fight of oh, you pussy,
Resistance.
or
Yeah.
and you're like, well, this doesn't make me less of a man because I want to be better or because I want better for others.
Yeah.
Do you find
Exactly.
yourself fighting that narrative sometimes through?
Well, yeah, for years. I was a musician growing up. I also did theater. I got my degree in theater. So I mean, like, I was never into like the sports, and it was two types of guys in my world. It was like you were either going to be a baseball player or you're going to be a rock star, and I was going to be a rock
Right.
star, and or I was going to do improv, and
Yeah.
one or the other. I mean, it just makes sense. But so well, I think you need to get away from the whole alpha male thing, anyways. Like that's a thing you'll see, like alphamale.com, and it's like trying to be a better man, and it's like we got to understand there's other types of men to be. Alpha male is not. It may be the dominant one in different species and whatnot, but it's not. It depends on the group think when it comes to who's dominant, because a lot of times the group wins out even though there's an alpha male there. But there's also the gamma male, and I consider myself to be more of a gamma male, which is more of a renaissance man. You know, get your fingers in a lot of pies, so to speak. And I think that's what we need to think about, not like the beer and the grilling and it's like that when that Gillette commercial came out like a year ago, and everyone got pissed off and no, I'm not buying Gillette anymore. Granted, I was never buying Gillette, but it's just like, and I didn't get offended because I didn't feel like it was talking to me. It was, you know, it's just like there is a meathead, like it's like this. I don't know how you say it. I mean, it's really if society rewards this like this thing, this male guise, if you will, this super hyper masculinity, and to me it just comes off fake, especially a lot of these like personal, you know, not trainers, but this betterment things and stuff like that. You see how to be it's like, how do you not know that? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. It's just like, just be yourself. I mean, that's like, that was the lesson back in the 80s, I think, that I got taught. But I mean, there is no manual. I mean, no pun intended, but I mean, like there yeah. Isn't. You know? I think we just this. I don't really care for some of the words they use because I think they are polarizing. But I agree with a lot of the sentiment. I think I wasn't raised like that. I don't need to be uber. I'm so comfortable with myself and in my own skin. I think a lot of these guys aren't comfortable in their own skin, and they need to put on this mask of masculinity. And I think that's taking us down the wrong path. It just comes off kind of meathead. It's like you're the same guys. That's the same mentality that used to beat me up in middle school. Why would I ever want to be that?
Yeah. Right, exactly. And I think you're tapping into it right there, is that in insecurity. I mean, fear is the strongest emotion that we have, unfortunately, and that's why a lot of times we get marketed to that, you know, like you know, so yeah, I think a lot of it stems from fear.
Fear of tribalism too. Like everyone wants to be in a gang or a herd, or a different tribe, and it's really there's not that many tribes to choose from these days. There's few archetypes that, like gamma male. I'm sure this is the first time a lot of people listening have ever heard that. Alpha male, everyone knows. Right. So I mean, like we can only choose what we know is out there. So and the only way to know what's out there is to look out there rather than just see what's there pitching to you online or on TV. And more times than not, it's this hyper masculinity. I mean, like watch movies now and then movies like from 50 years ago, like the male leading characters were not these jacked up. I mean, look at James Bond, yet everybody wants to be James Bond. He was sophisticated. He was intelligent. He was normal looking. Hello. So there's like this disconnects. Like you can't have it both ways, folks. I mean, you're putting more time in the gym than you should be in self-improving. And self-improving isn't just working out. It's studying too. It's learning new things. It's going back to school, or you don't even need to go back to school nowadays. Everything's online. There's an 8-year-old teaching how to do everything on YouTube. Often than not, it's the same 8-year-old. Just makes me feel more inadequate when I have to go to this 8-year-old to learn how to twirl a drumstick or something, you know. But I mean, like all those little things you ever want to learn how to do. Lock picking too. I started studying lock picking a couple of years ago because it's like, you know, I've been seeing it on TV forever, and it's like it would be a cool thing to kind of learn. And so me and my girlfriend bought a bunch of fake locks, and while you're watching TV, you start learning how to pick locks. So I can pick locks now too. But I mean, just stuff like that. It's, you know, I mean, just put the time in. Be yourself.
Yeah, I heard something a few years ago that was instead of, you know, a lot of times we want this vast improvement. We want to be better overnight, right? So a lot of people want to be 100% a new person when they wake up, and it takes time for that. And so instead, the idea is to just try to be 1% better every day. And if you can be 1% every day, then that's growth. That counts. And soon enough, you'll be at that 100%, and you'll just like those small habits form big habits, which form lifestyles.
Definitely. I finally become the person I thought I was in high school, I think is what it all comes down to. By doing just that, I think every day you got to try to be a little bit better than you were yesterday, and that's the best you can do. It's like studying vocabulary words. There's some I just don't remember. I'll never remember them, but I still now have 90% of these new words. So it's like, and I get down on myself for not catching those other words, but it's like, wait, I still have all these other words too that I did pick up, and they are sticking. And it's like, so yeah, I think it's like the 1 minute rule. If you can get yourself on the yoga mat for at least 1 minute, say I'm going to do one pose. Well, now you're on the mat. You've already done that one pose. So chances are you're going to move on to that next pose. It's like you got to trick your mind, because we as humans, we are really lazy. I don't care who you are. It's hardwired into us. So you got to trick yourself. It's like the gym bag. I used to put it in front of my door every day, so I'm seeing it, or I keep it in my car so I can go in at any moment. Like, you got to make things super easy for yourself. If you're in sales, if you're doing sales online, you know how easy you have to make it for people to find your website. You have to write stuff so a 13-year-old can understand it. You have to talk to yourself in that same way. Make it super easy to succeed, and you will.
Yeah, that self-narrative is so important, and that convenience, and again, like you're doing with this new language that you're trying to learn, engulf yourself in it. So put those affirmations up around your house, put new words up around your house that you're trying to learn.
Seat I'm sitting in has a sticker with the name for it on the back. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I get really into it.
Yeah. All right. So before we wrap up, give me if I'm trying to join your tribe, your cult here, your way of life. What's the easiest way to do that? How can I come on board?
You can, first go to phoenixshaving.com and grab one of our starter kits, or at least get there, and there's a chat bot, or not bot, it's me actually posing as a chat bot, and I'll be there to help you. But I mean, you can also email me, Douglas@phoenixshaving.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions all day long. This is my passion when it comes to traditional shaving. I can talk about it all day long, every day, and always happy to help. So phoenixshaving.com first. After that, I have a morning shave show with a friend of mine called I'd Lather Be Shaving, and you can find that at I'dlatherbeshaving.com. And that's kind of like Car Talk meets Wayne's World in the desert on acid. It's kind of like that Doors movie, I think, with the scene, but behind a table like Wayne's, I don't know. And but it's more like in the spirit of Car Talk, where whether you're into cars or not, you're still going to get something out of it. We try to keep it really entertaining, but we talk about shaving, tips, tricks, hacks, the history, and it sounds like, well, how much material do they have on this? It's endless. We can go on and on forever about it. It's just a really fun show. So I'd latherbeshaving.com. And if you're interested, after that, check out thebigshaveswest.com. And that's our conference we have every year. And hopefully we'll be doing it. I don't know if it's going to happen this spring, but it's coming back. But that's also just an all-week long, awesome traditional shaving guy hangout, manly thing. No one takes themselves that serious, and it's a blast, really. And that's in April, right? That's typically in April. And then lastly, I guess you can find me in social media most of the time under Phoenix_shaving or Douglas Smythe. But I'm pretty much all over the place in that regard. Perfect, man. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. And a great talk. Thank you, Michael. This has been a blast. This is refreshing. I'm gonna switch over. I'm gonna try and I'm gonna get one of these traditional razors and shave my neck very slowly, very safely. Yeah, I should say no. There's no pressure with the cartridges. You have to use a little bit of pressure, pressing down. There's none of that with safety razors. Let the weight of the razor do all the work. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up, man. Right on. Thanks a lot. Thank you guys so much for listening, and a special shout out and thank you to my guest, Doug Smythe. I had such a blast talking with you, and I learned so much. Also, Doug was nice enough to send me a wet shave starter kit, and I can't wait to crack it open. If you're interested in getting into wet shaving and traditional safety razors, you can check out Doug on Twitter as Douglas_Smythe. That's SMYTHE. Or on Instagram as Phoenix_shaving. Or you can find out more information at phoenixshaving.com. Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please feel free to share it, hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're listening to this podcast at, and you can always follow along with me on Twitter and Instagram at Malone Comedy.
Hey guys, before you go, I just want to remind you that I have another podcast on the 4D Podcast Network. It's called Speakerphone, and I do it with my buddy and singer-songwriter Ryan M. Brewer. It's so much fun. We usually talk about whatever's trending, some current events, and then we kind of just razz each other and have a lot of fun. It's actually stemmed from the ideas of us having these great phone call conversations over the years and nobody getting to hear them. And so, well, we started to record them to share with you. It's so much fun. I think you'll love it. It's called Speakerphone. And you can listen to that on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this at. Thanks again for listening.